The context is about being hypocritical. I thought you said you were doing this for years. This is like day one counter apologetics.
No, don't try to bypass the
I'm not
argument with
bypassing. I
that
literally answered your question. I'm not bypassing it.
Okay. So I've criticized the Bible for several years, and I want to give you like my hardest arguments, if you will. So Christ is known as the ultimate sacrifice because he was perfect and divine, which upon his death that validates, the covenant. But if Christ is known and found to be a sinner, would that be enough evidence for you to leave Christianity if Christ was not perfect?
It'd be something to wrestle with.
Okay, so I want to throw you a curveball then. So Christ told us not to judge unless we are to be judged.
No.
But he turned... Go ahead.
It says, judge by the standard you want to be judged. By the standard you judge, you'll be judged. Remove the stick that's in your eye before you worry about the log that's in your own brother's eye. So it's saying,
Right.
by the standard you judge people is which you will be judged. Not saying
so
don't judge.
Right, and then when it comes to the verse in Matthew, because it happens in 2 times where he says, if you judge, you are going to be judged in the same measure that you meet, and if you are angry with your brother, you're in danger of the council, etc. And then if you call someone a fool, you're in danger of hellfire. Well, Jesus turns around and later calls Pharisees blind fools, broods of vipers, and he calls people dogs and swine.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a use of judgment and a state of exaltation because you are lowering the station of someone else by calling them dogs and swine and broods of vipers?
Yeah, so where did Jesus sin?
I'm sorry?
Where did Jesus sin?
He sinned by judging others and then exalting
So I already
himself.
answered that question. Were you listening?
How did you answer the question?
I literally answered that question. You engaged with it when I answered it.
That doesn't answer the question. Just
I
because
already
you
answered it.
referenced-
I already
no, you
answered. So
referenced
there
remove the
is
speck
no
out of your
there's
eye.
no sin in judging. The sin is to judge by the standard you wish to be judged. Remove the log that's in your eye before you judge the speck that's in your brother's eye.
So you are still insinuating that it is still okay to call people dogs and swine even if you remove the speck from your own eye?
Yes. If you understand, if you're not in sin and you look at somebody and you understand that they are being a fool to the actual purest sense of it, and you are God, you can pass that judgment upon them.
Well, then why establish that rule to begin with if it was not allowed to be followed?
Because it's about being hypocritical. The context is about being hypocritical. I thought you said you were doing this for years. This is like day one counter apologetics.
No, don't try to bypass the
I'm
argument.
not
with
bypassing. I
that
literally
comment.
answered your question. I'm not bypassing it.
Well, then let's stick to the subject at hand.
I'm
Because
not
to call
changing the
someone-
subjects. I didn't change the subject.
To call somebody a blind fool
If
is
you're
in
a blind
violation.
fool, is not a violation. If
But it
you're a
is a
blind
violation
fool
because
and you're
Christ said
sinless,
if
you can call them a blind
anybody
fool.
If you call anybody a fool, you're in danger of the fires of
Does
hell.
it say you're going to hell?
It says you're in dangers of the fires of
Right.
hell. Based
You're-
on the context of the verse, it escalates with severity by judging your brother.
You get this? You understand? You get it, though. She doesn't say anything because we're live. You're in danger of hellfire if you're a hypocrite.
Yes.
That's the context. Jesus is not a
and
hypocrite.
Yes, he is, because he exalted himself above the other people by condemning them to levels of dogs and swine. That is a state of exaltation.
Because he's God.
If he is God, then I can also show other instances, like in the story of Luke, where he convinces 2 of his disciples to steal a colt. The man was a hypocrite.
To do what?
He stole a colt in the story of Luke.
Take the donkey.
He didn't steal it. He said, go take a donkey. What
Yes,
does it say it
that
was stolen?
owned. He told 2 of his disciples to go to a nearby village and to untie a colt. And if the owner asks you, what are you doing, to say that the Lord needs it. That is
The
called
Lord
stealing.
needs it. That's not stealing.
That is stealing because they were taking the colt without even
If it
telling
was
the owner.
stealing, what would they have done? What, like, if I go to your house and I take your car and I say the Lord needs it, what are you going to do?
I'm going to look at you like you're crazy.
What are you going to do though? Are you just going to let me take it?
No.
What are you going to do? Are you going to call the cops maybe? Is that a possibility? Or are you just going to let me take your car because I said the Lord needs it? And then you're going to call me a thief?
Yes, that is correct.
So you're going to let me take your car?
No,
and-
I said as in I'm going to prevent you from stealing the
So you're going to
vehicle.
call the cops? Right.
Correct.
So they met the owner of the donkey. They said the Lord needs it. And those guys were like, I'm not going to call the Roman guard. I'm just going to let you go.
Well, that part of the story is left out. And since it was
so
from a
argument
neighbor-
from silence. So you're allowed to impose on the text. You're allowed to put in the text whatever you want. They stole it, even though nothing in the text says they stole it. It says when they ask
well,
what
they
you're
were
doing with
in
the
a-
donkey.
they were in an
It
act-
says
they were in
that
an
when
active
listen.
state. No,
Listen.
they were
I
in
know
an
you
active
want.
state of
Listen. I
untying it
know
before
you.
the
I
owner saw
know
them.
you want a new
No, they were
fedora
in
for
an
your
active
collection.
state of
I know you want a
untying
new
it
fedora
before
for
the
your
owner
collection.
found them. That is a state of stealing, sir.
So they go to it and they said, "What do you say to the owner? The Lord needs it." For Jesus is who? The Lord, the King.
Yes, but you have to remember that Jesus was intentionally fulfilling prophecies from the book of Isaiah.
Yes.
So it was an intentional thing. And secondly,
Yes.
Isaiah can be broken up into three parts
You're
because
gish
there's
galloping
two.
now.
No, but
You're gish
regardless,
galloping. Did he steal the
I'm
donkey?
not gish
You
whatever
are
you're
gish galloping.
saying.
You're by definition gish galloping, right? We addressed
Okay,
the
well,
stolen
you
donkey.
have-
Now you're now
so-
you're running to Isaiah prophecy.
Yeah, because he was intentionally fulfilling the
I
prophecy.
agree.
of
He's
him
intentionally
riding into
fulfilling the
city
prophecy.
on
That
a
has
colt.
nothing to do whether or not he stole the donkey.
It does. He did steal the donkey. That's why it was from a neighboring city. Like, use critical thinking.
So when
here.
you say you use critical thinking, if I tell
Because
you
if
your
you take it from a
Lord,
nearby city, you're not
I
sitting
tell
around
you-
in the current city
if
with the
I
stolen
tell
property.
you your Lord needs something, and then you let me take it, how is that stealing?
So they did not knock on the door and say, "Hey, the Lord needs a donkey." They were in the middle of taking it away, and then the owner caught them, and then the story
So
ends
then
there.
why did Jesus tell them to say these things?
Because he needed to fulfill the
No,
prophecy.
you freaking idiot. Why did Jesus tell
There you
them
go,
to
throw a
tell?
stone.
Why did Jesus tell them to tell the owner of the donkey these things?
As a mind twist manipulation. If they would have knocked on the door and had integrity, that would have been one thing, but they didn't do that. They were in the middle of stealing it and they got caught.
You didn't answer the question. Why did Jesus tell him to tell him those things? If they were supposed to just steal it and not get caught, why did he tell them to, like, if he wanted them to steal the donkey, why did he give them specific commandments on what to tell the owner when he took the donkey?
An excuse? Like, I don't, like, what else? There's no other reasoning for it except, like, just give him an excuse. And secondly, the author of Luke was the traveling physician to Paul, who never even
What's
met
the
any of
verse?
these people. I don't have my computer open. It's like Luke 23. Hang on. Luke 19. Hang on. Luke, where'd it go? Luke 19, 30 to 31. Yes, and we also have Mark 11, 2 through 3.
Yeah, we'll look at them. All right. As he approached Bethpage and Bethany at the Mount of Olives, he sent out two of his disciples, saying, "Go into the village ahead of you. As you enter it, you will find a colt tied there, on which no one has ever sat. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks why you are untying him, tell him the Lord needs it." So those who were sent went out, found it as Jesus had told them. They were untying the colt. Its owner asked, "Why are you untying the colt?" "The Lord needs it," they answer. They led the colt to Jesus, threw the cloaks over it, and put it on Jesus. Put Jesus on it. So where did he steal it? Where did he steal it?
No, Jesus himself did not steal anything. He told two of his
Where
disciples to
did they
go
steal it?
He is saying, go into the village opposite of you, And when you enter it, like he is talking to his disciples,
Where did he steal it? Show me where it says it's stolen, or any reference to stealing. It says they went and got the colt. They told the owner they were taking the colt, and then they took the colt.
right? But read it in the proper context. Like
I
they
am
were
reading it in
the
the
middle.
proper context. You're
Yeah, they were
adding
in
to
the
it.
middle.
You're making it look like the owner jumped
No,
out
they
from
were
behind
in
the
the
wall and saying,
middle.
"What are you guys doing?"
They were in the middle of untying it, which is what the context is. And he said, "Why are you taking it?" And they said, "The Lord needs it," which shows that they were in the middle of stealing something without having any integrity. For then the Christ to turn around and tell someone, if you steal, you're not going to be able to get into heaven
Okay,
because you have to
all right.
follow
I
the
tell you
command.
what. Give me one church father or one biblical scholar that says that Jesus stole the donkey.
I think I made my point. Thank you for your time.
Does anybody think you made the point? He went and told them he was taking the donkey, and then took the donkey. He left. He left. He was doing this for years, ladies and gentlemen. That was his claim, not mine.